This is 11.2.10, and what we're doing is comparing the clarity of water, how far you can see into water at different locations at different times. And here are the dates. I'm sorry, at the location, different dates, and then you're comparing them, the initial depth, and then where it was 5 years later to see if there's any difference. This is a matched pair design. They're dependent on each other because, again, we're looking at that same location from starting and then what happens 5 years later. And so that's the idea of why this is a matched pair design. And that's why the null hypothesis in this case are here, where you have is the difference between them equal to 0, the null hypothesis, versus has it decreased 5 years later, right? Is the difference now less than 0? And so to run the test, we're going to open the data, and again, we want to see, we're testing to see if it's improving, meaning that we could see further in the water, so that this number would be bigger than the original number, right, 5 years later. So open the StatCrunch. And now that you have the data here, here's your two values that are matched up together. So that's what we're going to run there. Let me open this up a little bit more for you. And so comparing those here, this is a t-stats paired. And so we have the initial and then 5 years later. And then we just run that hypothesis test, and we want it that it's less than that. The second one is bigger than the first one, that we can see further. And then you run the test, compute, and then from there you will then get your test statistic and your p-value right there. And so you can see the 2 decimal places. There's your p-value and your test statistic. That's where you would get it from. As you can see, those values there. That's what you enter. Now, since the p-value is greater than alpha, what's our conclusion? Do not reject the null hypothesis. So we don't have evidence to say that things are improving. If you're going to do a difference of those box plots, which again, putting the differences, you can get that from your test when we run the test. Right here, when you ran that test here, we could save the differences there, and then when you do that, you will see that the differences occur here, and then you could do a box plot of, you can graph a box plot of the data, not a bar graph, a box plot, there it is, of those differences, and then you got your box plot. Let me make that horizontal like that, and so then you have that box plot there that matches up to what you have here. You know, and again, because it's not, because it contains 0, it's possible that there's no difference between those, the first one and the 5 year later one.